enjoy using Dollar Tree blanks to see, how well they turn out. Now, these, of course, this snowflake is wood. It's 12 inches across. And of course, these are going to be hacks. This is a cutting board. And the reason I picked this one is it's got a rough texture to it. You can see that. I've done this technique with a cutting board that did not have that rough surface. And I think this is going to turn out better because you won't see the imperfections. We are going to be using a laminating sheet on this. And then, of course, we've got a hot pad here, which will be relatively simple because it is 100% polyester. So we shouldn't have any issues with that. But this wood blank, I am just going to be using sublimation on the raw wood. Now, you could paint this with a polyacrylic or acrylic white paint to make it look better, but I'm just going to leave the raw wood to try this out today. So, of course, it's important to remember that these are not sublimation ready blanks. So these are considered hacks, I guess is what we would call them. So I am in my Canva account. I do have a Canva Pro account. So I'll be creating a custom size. But first I wanted to take you to my Creative Fabrica account. I have a Creative Fabrica all access account. And so I was picking out things that I want to use on the snowflake. Something that makes it a little bit easier. I'll explain it here in a second. I found a snowflake that I really wanted to use for a design. And when I clicked on it, it was only for embroidery. So you might want to go over here and just click graphics first, and that'll lower down your items that you'll be looking at. So I'm going to close this one because we don't need that. I did pick this design. We might be using some of these snowflakes. I'm going to kind of stick with the blue theme for that snowflake. So then I went in and I found some blue snowman. So I like that one. And so I downloaded that as well. And then I went to, I wanted something to put on that hot pad. And so I wanted it to be a dark color plain because it is um, a blue hot pad. And so I'm probably just going to use either dark brown or black. And so I thought this was a nice one. I was going to go with a Christmas design and I thought, no, this is a better gift because they can use it all year long. So I downloaded this design. And then I went into, I searched stained glass and they have so many beautiful designs. I'll search it up here for you. Stained glass. And I pulled up in the search, and there were just so many to pick from. And because of all the northern lights that everyone's been seeing lately, that is such a beautiful design. I picked this pack, and so I clicked on that. I downloaded it, and then after it downloaded, I extracted my files. And so now we'll get started in Canva because I have my images downloaded already. So I'm going to go to Canva here, and I'm going to start with custom size, and I measured out the snowflake, and I measured the cutting board, and I measured the hot pads. And on that snowflake, the wood snowflake, it's 12 inches. Well, my printer doesn't print 12 inches, but the center is 7 inches. And so I'm going to work with that center, and then the outside of the snowflake had those pointy designs on the outside. We might put some snowflakes in those too. So, and then the cutting board measures 7 3/4 inches. So, and then the hot pad, the area that I want to use is about 5 inches by 5 inches. And so the biggest of those is the cutting board. So I am going to go to inches here, and I am going to make 8 inches by 8 inches. Actually, I might do 8.25 just so that we have plenty of room. I like to have, when I'm doing a full surface like that cutting board, I like to have a little overhang. So I'm going to make all of these designs on this 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. And then when I go to print them, I'll show you how I'm going to get them down to the right size. So I'm going to hit create new design. And I am going to go, the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to upload the designs that I picked. So I had these snowflakes here, this snowman, this stained glass and this one for the hot pad. So now I'm going to upload these designs. So on the first page, because this is the cutting board, this is the size, I am going to add my design for this is going to be for the cutting board. So I'm going to bring that all the way up to the top here and all the way to the bottom, stretch it out. And now just to make sure that that is the right size, I'm just going to add an element here. This is just my thing. I'm going to add a circle just so that I can make sure that this is the right size. So I'm going to stretch this out and make sure that my design is going to fit on that cutting board. There we go. 8, it shows 8.1, 8.1. Yeah, that's good enough. Go a little bit here. So it's not quite as big as I wanted it. I wanted it 8.25, but this will work. So I'm going to now get rid of my circle here, delete, whoops, get rid of that, delete, and I'll see if I can stretch this out a little bit further. There we go. So now I've got my first one. There is no editing that I am going to do to this design. I could go up here to edit and you could change the color by going in here and, going in and changing it like this, or going in, I'm going to go back to none here, go into edit and go to duotone and it'll give you a bunch of different colors. I like this one the way it is, so I'm going to leave it. So now I'm going to add another page and I'm going to go to my uploads here and I am going to just do the one for the hot pad. I don't know that I'm going to edit anything on here. I'm just going to stretch it out to make it the full size of this. I will shrink it down when I print it. So now, oh yes, I could edit it. Let's go into edit and let's look at colors here. We'll go into the duotone. You can see that there are some other colors that you can change it to here. You can see it slightly changing. I do want a dark color, but I kind of like that violet. That's not too bad. Here we have this mustard color. You could change it to a red color, but I think on the blue, I want to stick with the dark color. So I think, which one did I like? Violet? I think that's the one. That's pretty dark and it looks pretty good. You could also go into edit image here, click edit, and you could, I'm going to go in and remove background and just make sure that there's nothing on this image, but I don't want it to remove anything else, but let's check it out here. Okay, so you could also go in here. I do have Pro and anything with the crown here. So you could go in and use a magic eraser and you could take out any of these designs that you want as well. And you could put something else in here if you wanted to make this a Christmas look. You could add some greenery in here. I'm just going to show you how this works. You just click erase. And then it'll erase that design. It'll take that out. You see how that works? It's pretty neat. But I'm just going to leave it the way it is because I like the design the way it is, and I just want it simple for this project. So now we're going to get to our snowman. And so I'm going to add this snowman in, and there are a few things that I do want to change on him. So I got to look here. What was the center? Was 7 inches. So I'm going to pull him out here to roughly 7 inches, 7.5, go down to 7 inches there, and I'm going to pop him in the center. And so now I'm going to go in and I am going to edit because I do want to see if I can make him a little bit darker because with sublimation ink, you're not going to see that white. I mean, you're going to see the shadows here, but I just want to make sure that I have him as dark as possible. There, I added this Luna. I do like how that changed him up and made him more blue. That'll, I think, look better on our area. So now what I want to do is I don't like these random little balls hanging in here. That is part of the AI, I'm assuming. So I'm going to go to edit here and I'm going to use my magic eraser and I'm going to get rid of these little ornaments in here because I don't think that's a good part and I don't like that snowflake. I don't like this. And so I'm just going to pop some of these out of there. Don't want these in my design. So I'm just gonna, whoop, Ugh. Now I'm gonna have to start over. I'll just erase this whole one. Maybe put a different snowflake in there because once you touch it, unless you back the whole thing off. Anyway, I'm going to go to erase here and then we can see what it looks like and see if we have to work on it a little bit more. Taking some time here. In fact, I might get rid of all these snowflakes and I might add some of the other ones that I found that I actually like better. So I am going to get rid of these snowflakes here as well. I'm able to do this again because I have Canva Pro so that I can use this magic eraser here. If you don't have Canva Pro, you just have to work with the design that you have. So let's see here. Do I like that? I think so. So let's erase this and then see what it looks like. See if I missed any spots. Looks like I've got a little spot over here to clean up yet. Take a second right here. I think I see a little spot that I got to get out of there yet. And now, after this is done, we can go back to our design. I really like that snowflake cookie with him, and I'm glad that we brightened up his color. I think it's going to look better on that wood. So now we've got the snowman there, and I'll probably add a couple of these snowflakes in there. Shrink them down, rotate a little bit here, pull them into our design. Put a couple in here. And after we get done with that, rotate this one. You can go up here to edit now on this snowflake, and I'm going to go up to edit, whoops, and look for colors that we can change so that they're not all the same color. So make one a little darker. You can make it bluer, lighter. Go to edit here for this one as well. Whoops, go back, edit this one as well. Get see all the color changes here. Like that. And then I'm going to add the last snowflake here. Let's see. This one. I'm not a fan of that square shape though, so maybe I'll just add a couple more of these here. Swing him up here. Maybe leave him that color because it looks pretty good with that color. And then I'll add another one of these on the other side. Shrink him way down. And then just give it a little turn. There, now I'll zoom in and see how that looks. I think that looks really nice. I think that looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another page and I'm going to add some of these snowflakes. I'm not sure if I'm going to put them on the edge of my snowflake design, but I did look and about 1.5 inches would fit nicely on there. So I'll put 1.5 inches and I'll see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 8 of them. So now I do like this snowflake of all of them. I like that one the best. Let's see if I can see which color I like best. Go up here, check all of them. Probably this Luna. All right, so when I do these, I'd probably want them all the same. So they're 1.5 inches, and I'll make sure 1.5 inches. And so I'm going to go Control C, Control V, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm going to line them up on here. That's just going to make it easier for me when I go to print that it'll print all of these. I am going to cut them out separately and press them on separately with, I can really, don't need this big of a page here. So maybe I will make a few extra snowflakes here just to have some extra. Control V, Control V, Control V, just to fill up my page a little bit. You could make a whole new design and add these. You could add something else in here too, but I'm going to leave it like this. So now we've got our snowman, we've got extra snowflakes, we have the one for our hot pad here, and we have the design for our cutting board. So I'm going to go to share and I'm going to download these. And since I do have the pro account, I'm going to raise my DPI up here all the way. You can put it as much as you want. I again, because I have the Pro, I can not compress. I want transparent background. And so now I am going to download these and then we will get these onto something to print. And I actually print from Word. So that will be the next step. So now I downloaded all of my images and I extracted them. So now what I'm doing here is I am opening a new Word document and I'm going to go to layout and we're going to be using an 8.5 by 11. And orientation, I want landscape and my margins, I have some presets and I set it to 0. So now we're going to insert our images. So insert picture from this device. And I will start with, I'll get out of here. I will start with the one for the hot pad. Let me get in here. Oh, let's see. Get this on. Where are you? There we go. Found it. Okay, so now I got to make sure I can see my design here. Go to this. All right, so bring in the one for the hot pad. And it comes in and you can see right here under picture format, it came in at 8.25 by 8.25. So what I do here is I go to this icon, layout options, which is also up here. And so you go to wrap and through. You're going to click wrap and through. So now you can move it around on the page. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shrink this down because I only want 5 inches. So it's at 4.98. You can also do it this way. I'll do 5.2 just so that, because it's got a little bit of space on the outside there. So there we go. There's our first image. Slide it over. Well, let's see. I'll slide it over here. Get it on the page. Up top, I'll shrink this down a little bit so you can see better. Get it right up there. Now we're going to add our next image. Let's see here. Probably the snowflakes on there because just because I got to do the wrap and through again. And now I have the little snowflakes here. Now I am going to flip these around because they are not going to, got to get a hold of my little guy here. Can't get a hold of that. I'm going to shrink it down here for a second, get a hold of this because I'm going to flip it this way because otherwise I'm not going to be able to get it to be on this paper. So now I'm going to make this, go back to picture format here. I'm going to make sure that this is 8.25. I can just go up here and change it to 8.25. Whoops, 8.25. And there, now these are going to be the right size that I need. They'll each be 1.5 inches. So that's one page. So now I will go to another page, another document, same thing, layout. I'm just doing it in landscape so that you can see better. And of course, size 8.5 by 11, margin 0. Now I'm going to bring in my snowman here. I'm just sliding them in. And so now if I go to picture format here, you can see that he came in at 8.24, a little bit smaller, but the center of our snowflake is only 7 inches. So, but I do have some white area here on the outside because I did shrink him down. I made him the 7 inches. So I'm going to leave that one as is. I'm going to do the wrap and through. Just going to center him on the page. I might drop him down just a hair here. I want to make sure he fits. All right, so that's it for that one because I won't be able to fit my cutting board image on this page. Now you could use an 8.5 by 14 and add other designs on the other side just so that you're not wasting paper, which is a great thing to do. I just am doing this quickly so that you can see this and we can get done quickly here. So we're going to go to layout again. Orientation, landscape, size, of course, it's 8.5 by 11 and 0 for my margins. Now I'm going to bring in our stained glass piece. And if you go to click on it and go to picture format, you can see came in right at our 8.25. So that right, pretty much 8.25. I am going to stretch this out all the way and I am going to do my wrap and through here. You can do that here as well. Wrap, oops, wrap and through. Whoops, that's not through. This one is through right here. And then you're going to want, I'm going to center this on my page because I am a little worried that I have this a little too big. So how I'm going to know that this isn't getting cut off is I'm going to go to File and Print. I'm not using that printer. I'm using my Epson EcoTank 2760 that I have converted over to sublimation printing by adding sublimation ink. Now you can see at the bottom here, it is cut off a little bit. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to shrink it down to back down to that 25, 8.25 and go back. And now I'm going to go to File and Print again. And there you can see it's pretty much all on the page, and that's what we want. Now it does show that I am offline, and that's because I use a printer cable. I do not use Wi-Fi for my printing, and that is a choice that I make because your Wi-Fi can cut out and you will get lines in your design. So now I'm going to go to printer properties here, and I'm going to make sure I have premium presentation paper matte selected, high quality. And under more options, I am going to make sure, oh, for this one, you don't have to mirror, but for the other ones, you do. So this one, you wouldn't have to mirror. I'm going to leave it mirrored because there are no words on it and it's not going to matter if it's mirrored or not. But this is the one of the only times that you don't mirror your image for sublimation is when you're putting it on the back of glass because it's going to show through the glass and you do not need to mirror it. But I'm going to mirror it for this one just because it doesn't matter. There's no words on it. You want to make sure that you have high speed off. And I go up to image options and I like to emphasize thin lines and emphasize more and emphasize thin lines. That's just a preference of mine. And then hit OK, and it is ready to print. So now I'll get this hooked up. I'm going to do the exact same thing with my other two designs. And again, this one doesn't have words on it. I'm going to go to File and Print and go to my printer properties. Same thing, premium presentation paper matte, high quality. I'm going to mirror it just because I have it set up for that, just so I don't unclick it and then next time forget. Want to make sure you have your high speed off. Okay. And then finally, of course, this one here, I do have to mirror because this one has words on it. So I'm going to go to File again and Print and go to Properties just to double check premium presentation paper at high quality. And yes, we're mirroring. So, and then image options should still be at emphasize more and emphasize thin lines. So I will get these printed and then we will come back. After I printed my sublimation design, I trimmed it down and then I held it up to my snowflake blank here. And I noticed that part of the snow that's under his rear end is just too much and it's going to interfere with some snowflakes that I'm putting on. So I'm going to trim that down, getting that closer to his body. So I flipped that image over and then I added the little snowflakes to each of the snowflake ends there. And then I secured it with heat resistant tape. And as you can see here, I'm using HTV Ront 125 sublimation paper. I'm using the HTV Ront Auto Heat Press 2. I have got a silicone mat on here on top of the pressing mat. I'll have a link below for that. And then I've got protective paper. And I have my snowflake ready to go. I'm going to be pressing this 385 degrees, 170 pounds of pressure for 60 seconds. Here it is right after the press. It turned out so good. I love the color. I'm glad that I changed him to more of a blue color. I think it really pops. So I trimmed down the next sublimation design. It's going to go on our hot pad here and it fits perfectly. Now I added the image and I have it on protective paper here. And I'm going to be using the same press, the HTV Ront Auto Heat Press 2, and I've got it set for 385 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to be pressing for 60 seconds with 170 pounds of pressure because this is bulky. And again, having that high pressure on here worked out really well. I didn't use any other pressing mat. I just used the pressing mat that came with the press and then that silicone mat that I have on there, and it had perfect pressure. Now we're on to the glass cutting board, and I am going to be using thermal pouch film on this glass cutting board. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to remove the feet that are on this glass cutting board. So I removed them and I just stuck them on my ruler here, and they seem to have enough sticky to them that I can put it back on. But if you don't have enough adhesive, you can use any kind of adhesive to reapply these. But for now, you're going to want to take them off, and then you're going to clean this blank very well. I used alcohol and a coffee filter to get all of that residue off. After cleaning, it's time to cut your piece of thermal pouch. So here it is. I cut a piece just perfectly to fit. Now you're only going to use one side of this pouch. So now I still have my press heated up to 385 degrees Fahrenheit. So the first thing I did here is I put protective paper down, and then I put the non-textured glass side up. When you feel on it, the side that has the feet on it is the non-textured glass side. So you want that up on the protective paper. Then you're going to lay the thermal film matte side onto the glass. And then you're going to add protective paper on top of that. Then I press this for 385 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 seconds with that 170 pounds of pressure. Now you can see how nice and tightly that film is on the glass. And now you're going to let this cool. After this is cooled, you're going to remove as much of the paper as you can. Now I used an X-Acto knife on a mat for this. So you're going to want to trim the edge around the glass. So very carefully trim off the excess that has melded onto this paper here. You're just going to cut it down even with the glass. And here it is after I trimmed it down. Now with that lamination side down on your design, you're going to want to make sure that it's going to fit on there perfectly. And it does. It looks very good. We've got a good overlap on the edge. Now I'm going to set the press to 240 seconds because we're going to want 4 minutes. So now I put a couple pieces of heat-resistant tape on this, and be very careful not to get your heat-resistant tape between your design and your glass. So now what I did is I turned it over because you want they want the paper side up. And now we're going to press this 385 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 minutes at 170 pounds pressure. And here is the reveal. Of course, this is the back side of the cutting board. So I will flip it over here and show you the other side. But I want to remind you to be extremely careful. This is so hot after pressing 385 degrees for 4 minutes, as are all of the sublimation projects that I've showed you. Be sure to wear protective gloves, heat-resistant gloves, or hot pads because this is going to be extremely hot. Now you're going to set it off to the side to cool. When I let it cool, I put it on another piece of protective paper and I just put it on a pressing mat over to the side to cool down. Now it's time to add the feet back on. Now you don't have to do this because if you're going to use it as a sun catcher or you're going to have it in a stand in the window, you don't need to put the feet back on. But I want to put the feet back on because I'm going to be using it in the kitchen. So you're going to put the feet back on the same side that you took them off. So they are actually going to go on to the lamination part. So here I am getting ready to center these and put them back on. It is just so beautiful. I had to hold it up to the light so that you could actually see just how deep this color is. Because when I lay it down on the paper or the table, you just can't see how beautiful the light shines through this. And here are all three of the finished products together. I think they all turned out great. I think these are a great way to try some things out with sublimation and using inexpensive Dollar Tree blanks.
Please like my video and subscribe to my channel and see links below.